Etepu, assalamu alaikum, namaste, haru nefer. This is Qesankh Keperu with another exciting video for you. And in this video, we're going to talk about why can't I bend spoons? And if you are not aware of that, you must have been living under a rock. Go back and watch the film The Matrix with Keanu Reeves. But before I get into that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, hit the like button. Also, don't forget, if you're new to my channel, hit the subscribe button to get notifications when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. If you want to know more about my spiritual teachings, you could scroll down below, click on any one of the 4 ebook links. Download them today, start reading them. They're absolutely free. However, that doesn't wet your whistle. You can become a Patreon member for as little as $1, $5, $20 a month. And if you are a $20 or SARE level supporter, you get special benefits, including free readings. As a Patreon member, you'll get access to exclusive videos. They'll teach you how to astral project. I was doing a lot of that last week. Some of those worlds I went to, I don't want to go back there. Anyway, I digress. How to contact your spirit guides, how to lucid dream, how to do a money ritual, and so much more. So become a Patreon supporter today. Last but not least, share this video with family and friends so we can get the revolution started. Hetepu, Grand Rising, Anetarak. So before I get into that, I want to talk a little bit about my program, the 6-Figure PM. It's a program that teaches you how to be a digital project manager in 6 weeks. And then after that, we'll place you at a job making 6 figures, become a high-value man or woman. And the other day, I was talking with a well-established recruiting firm out of New York, just prepping them for my students who are going to come their way so we can start placing them in jobs because they're going to graduate the class. And, I was a little bit, I would say my person, because the person is just the vehicle, the avatar, but your true self is consciousness. So my person was just a little disappointed because not as many people have taken advantage of this opportunity that I thought would. You know what I mean? I've slashed the price, and there's also an opportunity that if you're having financial difficulties to take the course for free. You know what I mean? But still, many people who either get into the program and drop out, or don't even get into the program. And I'm going to be realistic about this. There are some Black people that are just extremely lazy, and they don't want to work to improve their quality of life. They don't want to become a better man or woman. And this program is affording them the opportunity to do so. Yet they avoid it. Because you have things like when you have the government giving stimulus checks or assistance out, it's easier to just sit back and do nothing and just collect that check and lead a life of mediocrity. Do you know what I'm saying? One of the reasons why I actually got into my program or became a 6-figure PM was because I wanted to be around very intelligent people. And here's the website. As you see, you typically work with ad agencies that are it's a very creative environment. It's not a corporate environment at all. You're not expected to wear a suit and tie. You can work in the office or from home. You can work from Cuba, Colombia, Brazil, doesn't matter. So there are a lot of benefits to this. And when I mean that, when I got into this field, immediately the first job I was making 6 figures. And never looked back until like maybe 15, 20 years, well, actually probably 15 years later. I was surprised that not everybody, not other black men or black women in mass weren't making 6 figures. In fact, the average income for a black male is $42,000 a year. I didn't realize that. And I had climbed up the ladder so quickly in this field that I was making well over 6 figures. So I encourage you to check this program out. It's no difficult software to learn. You don't have to code. You just have to be good at multitasking and good at interpersonal skills. It's called a 6-figure PM. So check that out. And the other thing that relates to this subject today is my program, Reality Manifestation. This is a program that levels up your life, teaches you how to attract a mate, how to bring money to you. Let me show you the website. I built the website, by the way. This is the website. It's a totally online course. You're taught specifically by myself. So I'm going to work with you to make sure you are successful in the program. So go to engineeryourreality.com. You know, it's funny because I've gotten so good at psychic manipulation that typically if I were to go for job interviews, I would always get them. And I hate to be bragging in this aspect, but I actually sat down yesterday and I was thinking about my relationship status, and I wasn't happy with it. But then I looked back and I said, I started to take an audit of the things I did. And I said, man, I think I slept with too many women. Honestly, I think I did. And that's because when I came upon this power of hypnosis, psychic transference of thoughts, and here's a new book that I got that I'm going through. So I'll give you the 411 on this one, if it's really good. It was recommended to me by another Magi. Psychomancy, the secret power of psychic power control. But anyway, I got so good at that dating wasn't a problem for me. Hooking up with girls wasn't a problem to me. Because all I was interested in the one-night stands. I didn't care. I liked that, you know? But then I got older and more mature, and I said, I can't do that. I can't keep doing this. I really got to get into a serious relationship, And I saw that polygamy was the best structure for me. May not be with you, But understanding this power of manifestation saved me. I got so good at manifesting money, which is how I got into 6-figure PM, making all this money, that I failed to take into consideration my balance. I'm telling you, I had a lot of money and I spent that so fast, so freaking fast. And that caused me a lot of trouble because I went through a long period of being broke. And I kept doing it, just buying unnecessary things I didn't need. The latest tech device. Until I realized I was going to have to put that in check. And operate a little wiser. I mean, and some of it, I was a very good person because Like, for example, if a black moving company came to get my furniture and all that, and he would be very, very sneaky and try to overcharge me, I would pay it. I didn't mind. It was just money, and it was going to another brother. I had tenants living in my house in Virginia, and they called me up making hardships about how they couldn't pay the rent. So I lowered it for them. I did the oracle reading. I knew they had the money. They could have paid the higher price. But I said, listen, as long as you're taking care of the house, I don't mind. So I'll lower your rent. See, when you have this type of power, you live life not worrying about how much money you're spending. Eventually, I started to understand the power of Ma'at and balance. And Ma'at is also wealth. So I started to realize how I could keep my money instead of blowing it. But you see, the sad thing is most people don't care because you've been accustomed for so many years to accept who you are as you are. You are not a human being. You are a magi, a magician, a god, and you have extraordinary powers that you haven't tapped into. But some of you just don't care. You're just like, whatever comes, Others, you don't believe in this stuff. And that's fine. And I feel sorry for those in the Christian church sitting there listening to the pimp pastor minister who is teaching them that they have no power, that they need an intermediary to change things in their life. No, you are God. You have that power. You can manifest your reality. So check out this program. It's starting up soon. So you want to really jump in. It's going to be dealing with some really deep stuff, man. Some deep stuff, which kind of bridges into this conversation here. Oh, by the way, please make sure you share this video. YouTube is trying to bury my channel by not notifying people of when I go live and when I upload new videos. And it's a common thing that they do. They'll change the algorithm. And in changing the algorithm, they'll bury your channel. Many other YouTube influencers that I work with, they're in the same situation. There's a guy I know who's been doing this for years, and he only has 3,000 subs. And I said, that's not right. You should have more subs. You should have more subs by now. Not 3,000 is just ridiculous. Because YouTube hides his channel. And there's a lot of reasons for that I won't go into. But we're here today to talk about why you can't bend this spoon. Why can I not bend this spoon? Because you know why? Because there is no spoon. It doesn't exist. That's from the Matrix. But that's not actually the right answer, to be honest with you. Because you don't exist either. So if you don't exist and the spoon doesn't exist and all things are equal, you still should be able to bend that spoon. You get it? Major flub in that's a major mistake in the Matrix. Got me? But I'm going to tell you why you can't bend the spoon. And it's not an easy answer. You see, we live in a world that is so corrupt. We don't know. We only understand binary answers. It's either yes or no. Sometimes the world is a little bit more complicated and in-depth than just that. And this is one of those cases. You see, we live according to the MCA, the Mass Consensus Agreement. And this is the agreement you made with Tahuti, or Thoth, before coming to this plane of existence. And you have made with people you'll be interacting with, you have come together and collectively determined the rules and foundations of this plane of existence. The rules and foundations of this plane of existence. This has been happening to me a lot. Now, this falls under the guise of seker, meaning limitations. So this has been happening a while, where I would do like a shuffle of my oracle cards. And then suddenly the answer appears at the bottom of the deck. And in this case, this is Sekert. Can you see? And I was like, wow, that answer came up. But let me explain this, because this is very important for us to understand. Because I get emails and people saying, I want to learn how to teleport. One guy wrote that in my comment thread, and I actually said, he asked me if he could teleport, and I said, yes and no. Isn't that a great way to answer the question? So let me go back over it again. Before you came to this plane of existence, you got together with the people who would incarnate with you, and you came to agreement on the rules and principles of this existence. Meaning, one rule is you need oxygen. Another rule is you need gravity. And another rule is you must intake food for substance. Another most important rule is you can't fly. Another one is you can't teleport. And you can't move things with your mind. And you can't bend a spoon. But again, this falls under the foundation and parameters of Seker, because Seker is a limitation. Seker is parameters. Without these parameters, we have chaos. We don't have Ma'at. So again, before you came into this plane of existence, you came to a mass consensus agreement. However, if you understand the 100 monkey principle, which means that behaviors can be transferred to people over great distances. In other words, let's say, for example, I got this horny goat weed. My mates say I'm not lasting long enough. I don't see what's wrong with 30 seconds, but hey, they got a problem. So I said, okay, I'll do this. All right, anyway. I digress. If I decided the best way to open this is cutting open the bottom, but not unscrewing the top. And many other people decide the same thing of cutting open the bottom. And we are on the East Coast, we're in New York. And then 1,000 people in New York start cutting open the bottom. Without any contact, you would find that people in Los Angeles would start to do the same thing. Even though it makes no damn sense. They would start to do the same thing. Why? Well, this gets into the realm of quantum mechanics, specifically string theory. They've done studies to show that a particle here on this planet, if you do something to this particle, a particle across the Milky Way galaxy will react in the same manner, showing that there is some type of connection between the two particles over great distances. String theory. Let me take it a little bit deeper for you. If it were a matter of survival and necessary for you to fly like Superman, then you will alter the mass collective agreement. And then you would be able to fly. Because the mass collective agreement is subject to change under certain situations and circumstances. If it is a biological imperative that you fly like a bird, then you will start to see people flying like a bird. But it isn't necessary for us to do so. And therefore, the parameters are put around something like that. And there's also another thing which deals with ma'at. And this is what I told the student. I said, before you can access certain powers, like telepathy or moving things with your mind, God, in his or her brilliance, made it important that you have to go through ma'at for that. Ma'at is truth, justice, reciprocity, righteousness. Because you must be righteous in order to gain access to that power, or else the world will be full of criminals, X-Men with extraordinary powers, and they would take over the world. You know what I'm saying? So Ma'at is put in place to ensure that before you access certain higher powers, like on Sekar's level on the Tree of Life, Sekar is above Ma'at, you first have to prove that you are righteous. That's important. So as you see, there's no clear-cut answer to it, which is yes and no. In general, the de facto way of operating is said, no, you cannot bend the spoon. You cannot fly. You can't go to Vegas and manipulate the dice so you could win. This is to ensure that there's order. So the mass consensus agreement, or the mass collective agreement, as it's sometimes called, ensures that there is no chaos. And it's a powerful tool that the Illuminati, the ruling elite, know about. Because it's in the Bible, it says, if two or more agree, so shall it be. I'm paraphrasing. So if you were to get together with people of like mind, enough people, which we call the tipping point, go read that book, excellent book called The Tipping Point. That tipping point could be, I forgot what the number was. Oh, shoot. Was it 15%? It's somewhere around there, where once you reach that critical tipping point in terms of a behavior, then it becomes activated. You understand? There is power in the collective. Always remember that. This is why when the Illuminati are doing their rituals, they use Hollywood to propagate their ideas, because they know if they can see the masses of the people and it reaches that tipping point, then it becomes an ingrained behavior. And they are masters of this dark art. But we are so ignorant, and we have lost the knowledge of self, that we'll go to a church on Sunday, sit there, and come to an agreement that we're going to give all our money to the minister. Instead of the minister having the congregation come together, focus on a specific goal. and then seeing that manifest. Me and my mates, by the way, I'm looking for a new mate, another mate actually. So if you sexy fine women out there want to submit an application, hey, please do. Qesankh@gmail.com. You know, when I'm having sex with my mate, I'm not thinking how I'm going to tear that kitty cat up. When we both reach that orgasm state, we visualize the accomplishment of a spiritual goal. Because sex magic is very, very powerful. She will focus on the goal. I will focus on a similar goal. And this works as well as when you're alone. She can masturbate and focus on the goal while masturbating. You see, we use things for this Western culture is so corrupt that instead of really using sex for a spiritual purpose, it's been corrupted for lustful thoughts and behavior. That's all. No deeper significance or meaning. I told this to a young woman who was trying to achieve a goal. And I said, you need to get together with your mate, and when you're having intercourse, focus on the goal. She was freaked out. She did not understand it or comprehend it. And that's where we're at right now in this world. The magicians are not. You see, when you get to a high level of understanding as a magi, it's not going to be easy for you. Because the worst thing that we have in our society, especially in our communities, being indignant, being arrogant in our wrong thinking. I've talked to so many people who are very, very ignorant, and they backed it up with their ego. And then when they were proven wrong, they felt so embarrassed they couldn't let their ego take an L. You know what I mean? Now, the one thing I didn't like about the Matrix is they made it seem like in order for you to do certain extraordinary things like Neo, you would have to be that chosen one that could do it. No, that's not true. We're all cut from the same cloth. And I believe Jesus said, the wonders and things that I do, you can do too. And that is true. You have the same powers as God, not in quantity, but in quality. So why are you not taking advantage of this understanding? It's interesting because the problems that we face in this country, I'm just going to focus on this country, are not necessarily physical obstructions and challenges, but it's all mental, based on incorrect ideology, which is a fault of Sebek. Sebek deals with beliefs. We elevate the mind so much because most of this culture is direct descendants from the Greco-Roman period, that we think verbal communication, lectures, oratory skills, debates, that really comes to an understanding of truth. And that's a lie. That's not true. There's a saying that if 100,000 people agree on one thing, but the I-ching says that's not the case, the I-ching, which is the oracle, the Chinese oracle, and the word of God is correct. Because might doesn't make right. Just because most people are doing something and believe and have bought into it doesn't mean it's right. So think about that with the spoon in that example. Because I don't want you following every latest fad or thing out there thinking you could do that too. There's a lot of work in becoming a truly evolved spiritual person who's ascended to a higher level. Part of that process is you're going to be ostracized. It's going to be a journey you may have to go on yourself, and you have to be okay with that. You got to, because you can talk to God. It's funny. I've had a lot of conversations with God through the oracles, and I think it was Sunday. I had to sit down and said, I'm getting heated when I talk to the oracle, and I have to remember I'm actually talking to God, because you can forget that. You can truly forget that. Oh, it's just an oracle, an inanimate object. No, that's the supreme being of all, Nebuchadnezzar, you're talking to. The oracle is just a tool to facilitate the conversation between you and God. So let's do a reading here on why we can't bend the spoons. All right. Hail to Uti, making victorious the Tsar over his enemies on the night of the battle, and making the Sabahu, night that is making the stand to Jetu. Salutation of power, followed by the supreme being who comes as to Uti. Thanks for the words divine. My heart belongs to you. All right. Question is, I want to frame the question right. Why can't we? I'll say it. Why can't we bend the spoon? Or, I was going to say, why can't I bend the spoon? But I'll say, why can't we as a collective, and see what the oracle has to say? All right. First one is Harukuhuti to Chayaz. Harukuhuti is divine justice, the warrior. Ma'at sends Harukuhuti to balance things out. This is interesting. Haru and Harukuhuti. All right. When you receive a Harukuhuti to Chayaz and a Haru Hetep, that is a very interesting what God is telling us here. Because Haru is your will. Haru is the son of God. And Harukuhuti is the enforcer of justice. And what makes Harukuhuti so powerful is he's able to separate himself from his person, which I alluded to earlier. Because yourself is who you truly are, is consciousness. The person is just the avatar, the vehicle. Now, these cards go best when you're working with the Tree of Life. So you should try to do that one-to-one correspondence with the Kemetic Tree of Life, not the Kabbalah. Okay. So they both have very, very similar ways of looking at life, you know. Let me just see if I can quickly pull this up so you guys check it out. Yeah, I think this may work. Let me pull this up, because this will help you do accurate readings. So when you look at Haru, he's like in the center, circumspection. And above Haru is Harukuhuti. Haru is really Harukuhuti, but in warrior mode. Now, what the Oracle is hinting at and trying to give us understanding is, well, you can. But this will involve the perfection of your will, Hetep, and your ability to cut yourself off from your emotions. See, you can't access certain powers like that operating at the Geb level or even lower, which is Sahu level, being animalistic in your behavior. So God is saying, yes, you can. Just focus your will and make sure that you are separated from your emotions, and everything that you wish to accomplish is within truth, meaning looking at the whole to make sure that the thing that you want in your actions don't harm others. Is that making sense? So keep that in mind, because it's essential. And I'll do a class on this too, because you need to understand that hidden in one card is another card. Like, for example, hidden in Haru is Oset. Hidden in Harukuhuti is Ma'at. They have complements. Very, very important. Because modern tarot and other oracles do not look at things in a holistic perspective. It's more of a Sebek view of things. In other words, compartmentalized. Now, I don't want you going out there trying to work on bending spoons and flying and all that. But I do want you to start working on ascending to a higher level of spiritual awareness, because we are living in a world that's so decrepit and dysfunctional. And we are taught not to work on self, not to seek therapy, to make everything about me in your existence. And it's wrong. It's just plain wrong. In fact, the ruling elite wants minority communities to fail. So they want the entire community to become indoctrinated into this dysfunctional behavior. And they legitimize it through mainstream media as a culture. And you'll hear that when people talk about their culture as hip hop. Your culture is not hip hop. Keep that in mind. Well, I want you to donate to the channel if you're in a position of to do so. It would be appreciated. And also join the program by going to engineeryourreality.com. it's time that you take that next step in your life and stop just settling for this very obscure life and not doing things for a higher reason and a higher purpose. God does have a plan for you. But if you do not take action, you may never know what that plan is. You may never get to a point where you experience that love and insight that you get from communicating with the divine being. Do you understand that? We have a means to communicate with God. How many people can say that in their religion? How many people can say that? None, zero, except our ancestors in the Kemetic spiritual tradition. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. This is Qesankh Ma Keperu, son of Ma'at and Tahuti. Ma'at is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Until the next video, Amun Ra.